Most companies bleed 5 to 15% of margin in live negotiations without ever seeing it. Not because the market is brutal, not because their competitors are smarter, but because when pressure hits, the people don't show up with the characteristics that protect value. See, everyone loves tactics, cute lines, mirroring, silence, tricks from a book that they skimmed on a flight. But in the room, those tricks snap. What decides the deal are 6 characteristics under pressure. 6. If they're weak, you leak. If they're strong, you win surplus value while your counterparts wonder what just happened. That's why we build the Negotiation Mastery Index, the NMI. We measure those 6 characteristics, we score them, and we map them directly to dollars at risk. Today, I'm going to walk you through each trait, what it looks like in the room, how to spot the leaks, and how to turn them off for good. Let's start with the truth that most leaders hate to admit. That's that the price that you announce is not the price that you bank. You set a number, and then the real world goes to work. Discounts creep in, payment terms slip. A little free service gets tossed in to get it done. Scope expands without a trade. Someone says yes too quickly, thinking speed is victory. By the time finance reconciles, the invoice looks fine, but the pocket price is lower. The margin is thinner and the money is gone. You call it market pressure, I call it avoidable leakage. On a 100 million book, 1% is $1 million, 3% is 3 million, and 10% is a career level mistake. And the leaks, they trace back to one thing, the 6 elite characteristics. First, people skills, weighted at 30% in the NMI, the gateway trait. Without it, nothing else matters. This is not being nice, not small talk. People skill is a radar, reading, framing, the ability to feel when procurement is posturing for a concession and when they've genuinely hit a wall. A weak people skills negotiator hears words and takes them as law. Budget is capped. That's the best we can do. Legal won't allow it. They swallow it. They fold. But an elite negotiator listens beyond the words, the pace, the micro pause before the claim, the way one stakeholder looks sideways when another makes a threat, the tension that rises when you mention risk transfer, the energy that drops when you suggest expanding scope. People skills lets you lead the room, not react to it. Observable behaviors. They open cleanly, neutral tone, no defensive energy. They frame the agenda in the first 60 seconds. They mirror language without mimicking, and they soften hard edges without giving ground. They keep multiple stakeholders engaged, so no one can hide behind the "we'll take this offline" escape hatch. The money impact is 2 to 4% protected because you don't trade with ghosts. You trade only with real constraints that you can verify, and you convert posturing into movement. If your people skills are weak, you pay for the other side's acting classes. If they're strong, you make their stories expensive to maintain. The second one is teachability. Once again, 14% in the NMI. This is the multiplier. Ego kills deals. Tenure kills deals. We've always done it this way, definitely kills deals. Teachability means you take feedback, you apply it, and you repeat the steps until the new behavior is automatic, under pressure. You don't improvise from panic. You execute the upgrade you already put into muscle memory. The observable behaviors are things like you debrief every negotiation on one page. What leaked? What worked? The single line you will say next time. You solicit a hard review from someone who will actually tell you the truth. You role-play the heat moment that you fumbled. You don't defend your past self. You build your next self. The money impact is 1 to 2% compounded because the same mistake doesn't recur across the portfolio. Instead of paying the tuition every quarter, you only pay it once, and you move on stronger. You see, if your team is uncoachable, you own a margin leak factory. If your team is teachable, every cycle closes a hole. The third characteristic is courage, once again at 14%. Courage is not loud. Courage is not swagger. Courage is the 5-second window where the room expects you to fold and you don't. It's when procurement says, drop 7% or we walk. The weak response is a fast okay or a flinch disguised as collaboration. But the elite response is quiet, calm, firm. That level will put us below our next best option. If we're exploring movement, we'd be pairing it with a two-year term and expanded scope. Does that solve the business problem that you're solving? Or do we both need to pursue our alternatives? See, that's courage, not noise, not anger. It frames control with give to get logic. The observable behaviors are things like you delay the first concession, you use the pause, you ask clean and clarifying questions when they posture. You never justify from anxiety. When you move, you trade, you never donate. The money impact is 1 to 3% saved because you stop the first leak before it cascades. You see, courage kills cascade dynamics. Without courage, you bleed quietly. With courage, you change their behavior. Fourthly, heightened ambition. Once again in at 14% weighting. This is where average negotiators offend themselves. They think ambition is greed. It isn't. Ambition is design. It's setting a target that makes business sense and then standing behind it without apology. You see, ambition starts with the anchor, not around 4%, not market standard, precise, backed by precedent and value logic. A bolstered range that you can defend without blinking. Ambition continues with the ask, the upside you would love to win and were afraid to name. Longer term, exclusivity, rights that convert exposure to revenue, scope that turns a project into a platform. The observable behaviors are things like you lead with a precise and confident range. You have 3 crisp justifications ready. You normalize the stretch by treating it as a baseline. You never apologize for value. You show the path to yes without self-editing. The money impact is often 2 to 5% upside captured that your competitors will leave behind because they're playing not to lose rather than to win. So don't aim for fair, aim for the win that you can justify. Then go and get it. Fifth is consistency. Once again, a weighting of 14%. This is the stabilizer. One brilliant deal does not make you elite. Repeatability does. Consistency is disciplined prep and review every time. It's a checklist before the meeting. BATNA quantified, anchor scripted, trade stack listed in order, approval guardrails set. It's the debrief afterwards, the leakage that gets logged, language that gets upgraded, playbooks that get updated. The observable behaviors are things like you never walk into a negotiation cold. You never close without writing the 3 lines that created movement. You never let learning sit in someone else's head. You codify it for the team by the end of the day. The money impact is often 1 to 3% protected because variance collapses. The room stops being a roulette wheel. Your performance stops being streaky. You see, consistency turns skill from personal talent into institutional advantage. Then we get to the 6th characteristic, fun. Once again at a 14% weighting. Fun is not trivial. Fun is relaxed mastery under pressure. Fun is positive arousal, the state where your brain stops choking and starts performing. Most negotiators tighten up. They rush, they overshare, they concede to get out of the discomfort. Elites, they flip it. They enjoy the arena. They bring a smile. They stay playful while being firm. They disarm the room without surrendering the frame. The observable behaviors are things like you reframe stress aloud. This is a good problem. Let's solve it. Maybe you use small humor to diffuse posturing. You keep your breathing slow when theirs speeds up. Your tone says, nothing here scares us. The money impact is often a 1 to 2% swing and a dramatically higher chance that the deal stays constructive. You see, fun keeps you creative. Creative keeps you trading value for value instead of chopping price. So if your team dreads the arena, they will pay for it. If they enjoy it, they will profit from it. Those are the 6: people skills, teachability, courage, heightened ambition, consistency, and fun. Weighted, observable, coachable. That's the backbone of the negotiation margin index. We don't guess, we score. We link each trait to dollars at risk so leaders can finally see the real problem to solve. Now, let's look at how these show up in real worlds. Procurement first. Procurement's job is to grind your margin. That's the game. They'll posture with alternative quotes. They'll run the "we have no budget" script. They'll split the room and get your internal sponsor to sell you on their behalf. A weak people skills score means that you buy the story. A weak courage score means you concede early. A weak consistency score means you didn't set approval guardrails. So a representative donates without a trade. Flip those scores and the movie changes. Strong people skills, you spot the bluff. Strong courage, you hold and trade. Strong consistency, you never give without a documented get. The result is measurable. Fewer concessions, better terms, more value captured. Next, let's look at something like pharmaceutical market access. This looks like compliance, but it's not. It's negotiation with regulators and payers. Every clause is a lever, every precedent a frame. Weak ambition, and you accept the first reimbursement anchor as gospel. Weak fun, and your team tenses up in front of the committee, presenting badly and bleeding credibility. Weak teachability, and you repeat the same errors submission after submission. Strengthen those traits and things move. Ambition reframes what affordability means when you quantify outcomes. And fun keeps the team calm and persuasive even when under fire. Teachability converts each meeting into upgraded language for the next, and over a portfolio of indications, that's real money. In sports and culture sponsorships, on the outside, they look like logos and glamour. Inside, it's hard negotiation. If you have weak ambition, you buy exposure and wonder why the ROI is flat. If you have weak people skills, you miss that the rights holder cares more about narrative access than price. For weak consistency, you'll forget to trade for content rights, for IP, for grassroots activations. Strengthen the traits, and you turn a vanity spend into a profit engine. You negotiate access, storytelling, exclusivity, integrations that actually drive revenue. That's not magic. That's characteristics under pressure. Let's look at enterprise sales. The classic leak is the first concession. A salesperson gets nervous, drops 5% to look cooperative. The customer learns a lesson, press harder, and the concessions cascade. With courage and consistency high, that never happens. The first movement is delayed. When it comes, it's paired with term, scope, volume, risk transfer. You never donate, you trade. In different industries, the same physics. The 6 characteristics decide. So why doesn't traditional training fix this? Because most training teaches scripts, not characteristics. Say this when they say that. It feels great in a workshop, but in a live negotiation, it vanishes. Under pressure, you don't rise to your motivational poster. You fall to the characteristics that you've built. If you don't build people skills, you can't read the room. If you don't build courage, you will fold. If you don't build ambition, you will never ask. If you don't build consistency, you'll forget what worked. And if you don't build fun, you'll choke. If you don't build teachability, you will never improve. That's why the negotiation margin index exists. To move negotiation from theater to scorecard. From I think we're pretty good to we know exactly where we leak and how much it costs. Here's how it works. We simulate real negotiations. We score each of the 6 characteristics on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 is chaotic, 2 is inconsistent, 3 is functional but fragile, 4 is strong, 5 is elite and transferable. People skills carries 30% of the weight, the others carry 14% each. We calculate your weighted negotiation margin index score. Then we do the thing that leaders care most about. We map it to money. We take the size of your live deals, we apply a conservative leakage range to each top driver, and we show you the dollars at risk this quarter. For example, if we identify premature concessions as a top leak driver and you're running a 200 million pipeline, even a 1% improvement is $2 million protected. That's not a story, that's arithmetic. Then we give you 3 next actions with dates and owners, measurable, baked into your process. Guardrails that stop the bleeding without slowing the deal. Because nothing changes until you put a number on it. Once you see the number, behavior changes quickly. Let me spell out the signals to look for in each trait so you can self-assess right now. People skills, what are the elite signals? You set the frame in the first minute. You keep the temperature neutral. You never argue with feelings. You acknowledge, then redirect to criteria. You spot when a stakeholder is playing status games, and you remove the audience. You never get trapped in false binaries. You create third options that serve both sides. For teachability, what are the elite signals? Well, you ask for a hard review after wins, not just after losses. You implement one upgrade per deal. Your language gets shorter and more precise each month. Your team's playbook is alive, updated within 20 hours of every significant negotiation. For courage, what are the elite signals? Let's say you have 2 clean no scripts that you can deliver under fire without adrenaline in your voice. You never move without a pre-named get. You are comfortable ending a meeting without movement when the trade is wrong. Your BATNA is documented and priced, and you reference it calmly when needed. When it comes to heightened ambition, what are the elite signals? Your anchors are precise, they're not round. You ask for the thing you actually want instead of testing the water. You normalize the stretch with precedent and value logic. And you keep your internal team aligned so nobody undercuts the target behind closed doors. Then when it comes to consistency, what are the elite signals? Maybe every negotiation starts with a preparation document. Every negotiation ends with a 1-page review. You track the hit rate against your opening anchor. You have a permission gate for any movement below your walk away. No exception. And then when it gets to fun, what are the elite signals? Well, maybe your breathing slows under pressure. Maybe you use short lightness to puncture tension. Never sarcasm, never contempt. You talk like a partner, not a supplicant. When others get loud, you get quieter. When they rush, you slow down. The room follows your pace. If you see gaps in those signals, you're seeing the source of your margin leak. Not the economy, not the competitor, but the characteristics in the negotiation room. Now, what happens when you raise your NMI score? 3 things immediately. First, your counterpart behavior changes. People test frames. When yours holds, they stop testing and start trading. Secondly, internal chaos drops immediately. When everyone knows the anchor, the walkaway, and the trade stack, you stop negotiating against yourself. And thirdly, money shows up. 1% here, 2% there. Across a portfolio, it's millions. The cleanest money your business will ever make is the money you stop leaking. So here's a simple mental model that you can use tomorrow. Before any negotiation, write 1 page. Top left, your precise anchor and the 3 justifications. Top right, your BATNA priced and your walkaway line. Bottom left, your trade stack in order. And the bottom right, the 2 the 2 things that you'll say no to, plus the give-get lines that you'll say under peak pressure. Carry the page in, use it. After the call, write 3 lines. What leaked, what worked, and what you'll do next time. File it where the team can see it. Repeat. You'll feel the difference in a week. You'll see it in the numbers in a quarter. Let's be blunt. You don't need another motivational keynote. You don't need a bag of tactics. You need to see the truth about how your team behaves under pressure and what it's costing you. That's why the NMI call exists. It's a sophisticated diagnostic, 30 minutes in duration. We run a live simulation. We score the 6 traits. We show you your top 3 leak drivers and a conservative money range attached to each. You walk out with a number and 3 actions. No theory, no fluff, just clarity and guardrails. If you're serious about protecting margin this quarter, then go ahead and book the NMI call. The link is below. Stop negotiating with hope and start negotiating with characteristics that hold under fire. People skills, teachability, courage, heightened ambition, consistency, and fun. Build them, score them, scale them. That's how the elites win.